record this, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So this evening we have Serena, and can you pronounce your last name?
Pariser. It's
Pariser.
Paris, like the capital of France, and then ER.
Pariser. That's great.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk to Serena tonight, and we're going to find out a few things about her book, and maybe a little background about how you decided to write a book and things like that. And we have two of my students here tonight. Her name is Catherine. Say hello, Catherine.
Hello.
Hi, Catherine.
And Catherine is actually doing some teaching right now. She teaches computer science, but her goal is to be a high school English teacher. And let's just start out with what Catherine has to say about your book, because it's really exciting.
So Serena, this is an amazing book. Just like Professor Ma said, I am currently a teacher. This is my second year teaching. However, I'm not new to teaching. I taught in the Marine Corps while I was active duty. But it's crazy because teaching in a public school setting is so different, and I just love talking to my peers about their perspective. But with your book, it's not telling me this is what you need to do, this is how you should do something. It's more of, look, this is what happened to me, this is my honest experience. And I've been learning from that so much. So thank you. So far, I've really been enjoying the book.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you have that perspective. I actually haven't heard that before.
Well, tell
how
us.
Could you not?
Yeah, how did you decide to write this book? I mean, I went went through my master's degree with Serena, and at that time we were all into technology and things like that. So tell me a little bit about where you've been since we went to school together.
So I actually just got done teaching my class here, so I'll lead up to how it got here. But I was teaching 8th grade when I decided to get my master's, and then I stayed in the classroom about 9 years total, so maybe 5 years after that, and I decided that I couldn't do it anymore. I love teaching, but I had to do something else. And so I started becoming this impromptu teaching coach, meaning I wasn't really paid to be a coach, but teachers started like banging on my door and asking me questions. And it was kind of an honor, but basically they were like, we work with the same kids you do, and they don't do that for us. We work with the same kids you do, and they're not laughing in the classroom. And a lot of it was, we hear laughter out of your classroom, so are they making fun of each other, or what's going on? And so then I started realizing, so this isn't normal in every classroom. So I started writing answers to questions that they had, only because I thought maybe I'll do something with this one day to help more teachers. And I started with a blog, and then I started writing, and it got to about 50 pages. And then I realized I'm either really wasting my time or I have to do something with this, right? Because I didn't want to just have 50 pages sitting on my computer desktop. So then it turned into 100 pages, and then I shared it with my family, and it's pretty good. That was a reaction. And I got a couple, we're going to be honest with you, we love you, stop wasting your time with this. I did. So I had to decide which path to take. I listened to the voices that told me, I think it was one voice, it was a professor here at school, and he said, it's good, it'll get published. He was the only one that told me that. So I went full forward. I mean, I spent hours every night working on it. And because I kept listening to his voice, he was like, no, it will get published, believe me. I had to ignore the voices that said, really, it's cute, good try, So eventually I did get picked up by a publisher. And since then, I was a substitute teacher for a while. And then I started presenting at conferences around the country regarding the book. And then as that was all blowing up, I was hired at USD here. So I place the student teachers around San Diego County. So I get to look around in schools and things like that. And then I teach a class here with my book as a text, just as you do. And we just had our last class. I'll tell you, the teachers, I thought I was tired. The student teachers they're delirious right now. And I told them, right now is the hardest time in the school year as a teacher. But anyway, so that's kind of where I've been since I left. So it's kind of been a whirlwind.
Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And since you've been teaching the class, what is the name of the class that you teach at USC?
Well, it's co-teaching. It's three of us. And if you think three teachers are hard work, imagine three professors. So it's three of us. But luckily we do get along, and there's some hierarchy. One of us has a doctorate, not me. So, we kind of know who calls the shots, but it's classroom management. Well, there's a character-based classroom management I teach online. And then this is a PBIS, so positive behavior interventions and supports. And I do the classroom management part of it. And then someone else does the restorative justice, and someone else does the trauma.
Wow, that's great. That is fantastic. And what would you say would be one of the topics that you talk about the most from your book?
Well, a lot of it, because I work with, they're not student teachers yet. We call them extended practicum students. So these are pre-student teachers, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is, it's funny because the teachers that are in my class are way more optimistic than the teachers that I present to at conferences, right? So at conferences, I get a lot of, what do you do when a child is throwing a pencil across the room, or all these behaviors they have. The teachers in the class are really on board with all the topics in the book, if that makes sense. They still have this really optimistic belief in kids, and it's beautiful to see. So, I would say it's easy to teach the book to the class of the pre-student teachers. They like all the weird stuff. They like the spins that wow your students. They like the guest speakers. It's almost like they don't see why sometimes it wouldn't work yet. And it's beautiful to see. They were like, oh, we'll do everything. That's great. So they like the seating chart chapter. I don't know if you guys read that yet. They find that really, really, really helpful. Not necessarily the academic breakup, but the sitting the happy kids, where you sit the happy kids in the class, and the, maybe often negative children, we'll say that. They find that the most helpful, and I get that a lot.
That's really good. And then I noticed in your book, you also mentioned something about the way you start out your class. Now, if you're a new teacher and you've got a new classroom, you're coming in August, what are some tips you would tell a new teacher about starting their classroom?
Oh, I have a blog or something I did on this, or something, but it's called Prep Where It Counts. I'll email it to you, but it's all about starting out the school year right. And the secret is to do it the first, I wouldn't say this summer, because you got to enjoy your summer, right? But the week before school starts, or the 2 weeks before school starts. And when I say before school starts, I mean before you go into that teacher PD, because you're going to get a lot of stuff to do that PD. So before, when your mind's still clear, and I would start the year off with a project at least in the first semester. In the first week, I would say make a seating chart. If you are into preferential seating, bless your heart, I've never had it work for me. But make a seating chart, have a really cool icebreaker for day one. The kids will think you're really fun and amazing. Maybe have a guest speaker or two lined up for the first semester, just kind of in the works, not lined up, say, hey, if I need you, we're going to be reading this book. You think you could come in? And then you talk details later. But I would it's a 2/3, 1/3 rule. So all the stuff you think you do, the bulletin boards and the aesthetics, 1/3 of your time, 2/3 dedicated to academics. And I mean like planning the first unit, and then you plan it, and then you think, oh my gosh, now how do we make it more engaging? And then also like, okay, now we have to reserve the computer lab. Now we have to go ask for parent volunteers to bring in this or that. So that will be the most proactive way that your classroom management won't be an issue. And then you're not being reactive the whole first semester. Then you're too tired to plan. But I would say don't spend a lot of time on bulletin boards.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm. Ruth, I forget, what grade did you teach?
I've taught all grades from kindergarten to 12th, but when I was going through the program, I was teaching middle school math.
Okay.
And since I left graduate school, since I graduated, I got into high school and teaching computer science. So I'm teaching kids how to code, how to make apps with their phones, or their phones. And 3D object-oriented animations with the computer and things. So yeah, I've really been into the programming side.
Nice. Nice. Good for you. She was always much better in class at this stuff than I was. I was like, I can't teach coding.
But I have a question for you.
Okay.
When I read the book, I like the ideas, and yes, I have that perspective still of, oh my gosh, I can try this, or I should do that, or I notice this is what I'm going to try next year. But it's funny that you say that it's easier to teach the pre-teachers than actual teachers, because that's how it is in my school. I'll go and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I tried this and it didn't work. What should I do? And they just look at me like, oh, it's okay. You haven't learned yet.
Yeah.
It's that very withered mindset, but shouldn't it be backwards because as a new teacher, you're just learning the lesson and classroom management and all this stuff. So we actually have a fuller plate than a more experienced teacher, because they already know the curriculum. They know how to present it. Now it's about engaging the student in different ways. So why does it change for them?
I talk about this a little bit in the book, but you have to be really careful who you surround yourself with in school. Meaning that, who you sit next to at the staff meetings, a lot of it's that. Who you're eating lunch with if you do that. Because if you surround yourself with the teachers and it's 75% that teachers have this mindset, I don't know why, and I think it's this mindset that bleeds in one another. You'll start thinking you're the crazy one for doing stuff like this in your classroom, for doing surprises in your classroom, for doing, competitions in your classroom. You'll start to feel crazy and like you're working a little bit too hard, right? But your kids will love you and they'll be so much more engaged. So if you keep yourself surrounded by, we call them the crazies, teachers, I think you'll stay a better teacher, right? Because you'll feel like it's the norm to teach like this. It should be the norm to teach like this. I think if teachers did stuff that was a little bit out there, the educational system wouldn't be so, this is large scale. The kids wouldn't be falling asleep in class and things like that, right? So it is, it's easier to teach the other way as far as preparation, but you'll get burnout and it's not as rewarding. You're kind of just getting through the day.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I see. So there's a couple of things. You talk about surprising your students. One thing that I do is for their birthday, I keep a birthday log and I get all their teachers from their schedule to sign the birthday card. So I'm constantly walking around getting them to sign it. And they're like, oh, well, this is getting expensive for you. Or, why are you spending so much time? Or, oh, this kid never pays attention. I'm like, oh my gosh, really?
And where do you teach again? Where are you student teaching?
No, I'm actually teaching. But I'm part of the CTE program, Career and Technical Education. So that's why I'm trying to get my teaching credential. But I teach at Palomar High School for Sweetwater Union High School District.
Oh, nice. Good for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually graduated from USD, by the way.
Oh, you had your undergrad here?
I did my master's. So funny. I actually did my master's from the School of Business. And then after I retired, I decided to go into teaching.
Oh, nice. Well, then you see a lot of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just happens my husband got his master's in education at USD as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long? I guess probably longer than anyone that I worked with, probably a long time ago. But
yeah, he's way back from, I think he graduated with his master's right before 1990, so the late 80s.
Not too long ago, actually. I think the woman I worked for probably would have been in the department. She just retired yesterday, and she did a lot of her career here. Yeah, we're on top of the hill now. I think they used to be down on the bottom.
Yeah, it was at the bottom of the hill. Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions?
Wow.
I would ask, out of all these amazing best practices, which is your number one, your favorite?
Well, right now, because I'm feeling what the students are feeling, because we're at the end of our semester too, is keeping yourself sane. It's funny, a lot of the I work with student teachers and pre-student teachers, and everyone right now is sniffling in the office. I had a phone call today with a student that, it's always talking about placements or whatever, and she's coughing on the phone, and half the class in here, I probably shouldn't sit in here too long, was sneezing and coughing, because as teachers, sometimes we're taking care of other people so much throughout the semester that our body actually is in fight or flight mode the whole semester. And so right now is the time when our body knows the break's coming. A lot of them, this was our last class tonight. And as soon as we release, the body gets sick for about 3 or 4 days. And I mean, like, teachers get colds and flus as soon as they go on summer break, as soon as they go on Christmas break. I mean, you probably had that happen, Ruth. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you keep yourself sane during the school year, easier said than done, it doesn't happen like that, you know? So if you yoga, walk with your dog, eat healthy, your body doesn't have to actually be in fight or flight mode while you're teaching. And you'll be a better teacher, but it's the hardest one to do, but I think the one that's most effective, because really to take care of other people, you have to take care of yourself. And you can tell the teachers know which teachers are taking care of themselves, because it's not the teacher snapping at them and losing their patience. It's a teacher laughing with the class. They're probably doing some exercise and eating right.
That's good. That's good. I have one question before we let you go is,
Okay.
how did you find a publisher to publish your book? How did that come about?
Oh gosh, well, that's a long story. I wrote proposals to 5 to 6 different publishers, and a couple months went by and I forgot, and I was like, well, at least I tried. And a publisher had a need for a classroom management book. And so they called me, and I was thinking, is this a real publisher? Like, who's calling? You know, who's this aerial woman calling my cell phone? And then I thought, what do they want from me? What's in it for them, right? And then I thought, well, you don't pay anything. So it's not like they're calling me to do me a favor, is what I thought. Like, oh, they feel bad, they're calling. And we ended up signing a few months later. And I just did the proposal. I'm actually signing I just got a second book contract today for real talk about time management. So it's time management for teachers, much shorter book. I did tell them that I did not want to write a textbook again. Much shorter book, 30 quick and dirty little things teachers can do to kind of save time throughout the school year.
Wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I need an autographed copy sometime. We'll have to meet up, Serena, and
Okay.
Get together and reminisce. So this has been so nice. Thank you for your time. And
Of course.
if you have any more questions, Catherine, we're going to let Serena go. But it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Good night.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.